Okay, for those of you who wanted to see the answers and maybe have some help on the big thick packet, here we go. I'm going to work the evens in one lesson, and then I'll work the odds in the other. All right, so I already asked you guys in class how you tell the difference between this 1 through 10 and 11 through 20. On 1 through 10, they give you the angle measure. On 11 through 20, they're looking for the angle measure. So down here, when you don't know the angle, when the question says find each angle, that's when you use the sine inverse, cosine inverse, and tangent inverse. Those have the little negative ones in the calculator. Up here, you're just punching in the calculator. You know the angle, so you're literally going to find the cosine at 46 degrees. It's going to give us decimals. We're going to go 4 decimal places. It's actually the ratio. So like cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, what decimal we get, that's the decimal we would get if we had a triangle and we set up the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse and we divided it out, and that's the decimal we would get. That's actually what we're finding here on 1 through 10. And I've told you that before, so I know I'm talking fast so we can get through this. So I'm going to go cosine of 46. I want 4 decimal places, and so 0.6947. Tangent of 21, 0.3839. Sine of 24, 0.4067. Cosine of 85, 0.0872. Cosine of 21, 0.9336. I'm going to do inverse sine because I don't know the angle, so I'm going to go trig. Inverse sine, 0.9455, and to the nearest degree is 71 degrees. Inverse sine, 0.6428, 40 degrees. Inverse tangent, 0.7813, 38 degrees. Inverse cosine, 0.3746, 68 degrees. Inverse cosine, 0.7314, 43 degrees. All right, down here, the directions say to find the value of each trigonomic ratio. A ratio is a fraction, so all we're doing are setting up fractions using SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to only do the evens. Sine of A, so it wants me to use the SO, opposite over hypotenuse, of the angle A. I circle the angle A. The opposite is 35. The hypotenuse is 37. So the sine of A is 35 over 37. I want to reduce that if I can. It doesn't reduce. All right, tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent of Z. Circle angle Z. Opposite is 21. Adjacent is 28. So the tangent of Z is opposite, which is 21 over 28. That reduces to be 3/4. All right. 26. Tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent of Z. I circle Z. The opposite is 24. The adjacent is 18. So the tangent of Z is opposite, which is 24, over adjacent, which is 18. That reduces to 6 goes into that 4/3. All right, 28. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse of angle C. Circle angle C. Adjacent is 36. Hypotenuse is 39. So the cosine of angle C is adjacent, which is 36, over hypotenuse, which is 39. That actually does reduce. They can both be divided by 3. That gives me 12/13. All right, 30, sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of angle C, circle angle C. The opposite side is 32. The hypotenuse is 40. So the sine of angle C is 32 over 40. That reduces to be, 8 goes into that, 4/5. All right, find the missing side, round to the nearest tenth. I'm going to use SOHCAHTOA to set up my equations for this. I'm going to then multiply through by whatever the denominator is. SOHCAHTOA. The angle is 22 degrees. What's labeled here is the hypotenuse in the adjacent side. Hypotenuse and adjacent is cosine. So the cosine of 22 is the adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. I'm going to multiply by my denominator. 10 times the cosine of 22 equals x. Since x is isolated, I type it in. 10 times cosine of 22. Going one decimal place, 9.3. Alright, they give me this angle 48. X is opposite. 15 is hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So I know the sine of 48 equals opposite, which is x, over hypotenuse, which is 15. I'm going to multiply across. 15 times the sine of 48. And I'm going to multiply. Oops. No. I did sine inverse. Hold on. Got to make sure I do the right thing. 11.1. Okay, next one. Circle my angle. 17 is hypotenuse, x is adjacent. Adjacent hypotenuse is cosine. So I'm going to do the cosine of 60 equals adjacent, which is x, over hypotenuse, which is 17. So I'm going to multiply by 17. 17 times the cosine of 60, 8.5. Alright, I'm going to circle my angle, label my sides. 14 is opposite, x is adjacent, opposite and adjacent is tangent. So my tangent of 50 is opposite, which is 14, over adjacent, which is x. I multiply both sides by x, so I get x times the tangent of 50 equals 14. Guess what? Now I have to divide by the tangent of 50, so x equals 14 divided by the tangent of 50. We've done this before, so I'm working fast. That gives me 16.7. All right, on to the next. I circle my angle, 36 degrees. 14 is hypotenuse. X is opposite. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine, because look, SOHCAHTOA. Opposite hypotenuse. So the sine of 36 equals my opposite, which is x, over my hypotenuse, which is 14. So I multiply by the denominator. 14 times the sine of 36 equals x. $8.2. Alright, circle my angle. I've got opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. So tangent of 20 equals opposite, which is 20, over adjacent, which is x. I'm going to multiply by my denominator, which is x. So x times the tangent of 20 equals 20. So I'm going to have to divide by the tangent of 20. So x equals 20 divided by the tangent of 20. And I got 54.9. Okay, circle my 56 degree. The 20 is opposite. The x is hypotenuse. And opposite over hypotenuse is going to be sine. So sine of 56 is opposite, which is 20, over hypotenuse, which is x. And if you notice the pattern, when the x is in the bottom, we're going to end up dividing in the end. If I multiply by my x sine of 56 equals 20. So x equals 20 divided by the sine of 56. 24.12. Alright, circle my angle. I have opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. So the tangent of 35 equals 16 over x. So x times the tangent of 35 equals 16. So x equals 16 divided by the tangent of 35. $22.9. Okay, circle my angle. I have hypotenuse and adjacent. Hypotenuse and adjacent is cosine. So cosine of 37 equals adjacent, which is 18, over hypotenuse, which is x. So x times the cosine of 37 equals 18. So x equals 18 divided by the cosine of 37. Which is 22.5. All right, circle my angle. Hypotenuse and adjacent. Hypotenuse and adjacent are cosine, so the cosine of 59 equals adjacent, which is 10, over hypotenuse, which is x. So x times the cosine of 59 equals 10. Y'all couldn't even see what I was doing. And then I'm going to divide, so x equals 10 divided by the cosine of 59. $19.4. Those are the harder of the equations. The next are the easier of the equations. We're finding the missing angle. We're still going to use SOHCAHTOA. Since we're finding the missing angle, we're going to use the inverse function. So we're using sine inverse, cosine inverse, or tangent inverse. All right, circle your angle. 17 is opposite, 38 is adjacent. So I'm using the tangent inverse because that's opposite adjacent. So the tangent inverse of 17 over 38 is going to give me my angle. And let's see, 17 divided by 38, that gives me 24 degrees. Circle my angle. 5 is opposite, 7 is adjacent. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. So again, it's tangent inverse of opposite over adjacent. Oh, I used tangent instead of tangent inverse. I'm like, wait, that's not right. $36 degrees. All right, next, circle my angle, opposite and adjacent. Again, opposite and adjacent is tangent, so I'm using the tangent inverse again. Tangent inverse of 11 over 29. It gives me 21 degrees. All right, circle my angle. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine, so I'm doing sine inverse of 13 over 52 because that's opposite over hypotenuse. Sine inverse 13 divided by 52. That gives me 14 degrees. All right, opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent are tangent. Tangent inverse 22 over 39. 29 degrees. Adjacent, opposite and hypotenuse, I almost got that wrong. That's the hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse are sine, so sine inverse of opposite, which is 37, over hypotenuse, which is 41. So I'm going to go sine inverse 37 over 41. 64 degrees. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine, the sine inverse of 19 over 40. (28 degrees). Opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent are tangent, so tangent inverse. Opposite over adjacent is 10 over 11. (42 degrees). Opposite and hypotenuse are sine, so sine inverse of 4 over 5. That's 53 degrees. Adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse are cosine inverse. 51 over 55. I forgot to do the cosine inverse. I was just going to put it in the fraction. (22 degrees). I will work the odds if you need. Sorry, you didn't see that one, did you? There it is. I will work the odds. If you need the odds worked, you can look at the video. For that, I will work a little bit quicker probably in those. But if you need assistance, you can also come to tutorials.